Hello everyone. I hope you people are doing well and studying well for your upcoming judiciary exams. I hope you must be aware that MP has started its application process for Civil Judge Junior Division, and the last date for applying for it is 27th of December, 27th of January 2022. So make sure to apply beforehand, before the deadline. So before we start with the local law of MP, that is MPAC, we must know the general scheme of the exam. So in MP, we will be talking about the prelims exam. So in the MP prelims exam, mostly the division is very distinctive. That is 100. There are 150 questions, and the total marks counts to 150. That is 1 marks is allotted to each question. The distinction is as such that the law part consists of 110 marks. There are 110 questions, and the rest remaining part is covered by 20 marks for GK, 10 marks for English, and 10 marks for computer science. In the law part, in 110 total, 100 marks is allotted to data context, data constitution, SRA, evidence, CRPC, CPC, Negotiable Instruments Act, contract, etc. And the 5 marks are allotted to local laws. There are 2 local laws, that is MPAC, MP Accommodation Control Act, and MP LRC, that is MP Land Revenue Code. So why it is important to learn the local laws when the allotted marks are only 5? Because in MP, when we analyze the past trends, we see that generally the cutoff for the prelims exam ranges from 115 somewhat to 120 plus minus 5, and when we analyze that the cutoff goes till as below as 115, many students tends to get up the marks easily, ranges from 100 to 110, 114, but qualifying the cutoff part is a bit difficult because 1 marks also values a lot in MP exam. In the last exam only in 2021, we saw that the cutoff was 115, but many students were getting 114, 113, 112, 111. So that doesn't matter that how much you have studied and you are getting 111 marks. Qualifying prelims and then mains and finally becoming judge is more valuable than getting 100, 110 marks. So that counts nothing. So in that context, learning the local laws is also important, equally very important when the state, your focus state is MP, because you can even lose few marks in the core subjects easily, but when you are thorough with the local laws, you will be at edge in comparison to other students when the competition is so high that 50,000 applicants are there for given any state judicial exams. So when we are clear that why local laws are important, let's begin with the MP local law. So as discussed that there are 2 laws, MPAC, that is Accommodation Control, and MP LRC. Today we will be looking into the brief description about the MPAC, that is Accommodation Control, and few important sections as well as few MCQs that is taken from the past year question papers. So let's begin. So the MPAC, that is Madhya Pradesh Accommodation Control Act, it was commenced in 1961. The commencement date is 30th December 1961. There are total 151 sections, 8 chapters. Sorry, there is wrong here, that there is incorrect. It should be 8, and the total schedules are 2. And the old act was repealed in 1955. That means there was an act before the commencement of this act that was repealed in 1955. So as I was saying that there are total 8 number of chapters, we will see that how there are 8 number of chapters, though there is written chapter number 7. So first chapter is preliminary, chapter 2 is provisions regarding rent, chapter 3 is control of eviction of tenants, section 11A to 23, and then we have chapter 3A, that is eviction of tenants on grounds of bona fide requirement, and chapter 4, deposit of rents, chapter 5, appointments of RCA, that is rent controlling authority, its power and functions, and then we have chapter 6, provisions regarding a special obligation of landlords and penalties. As this whole act deals with the landlords, tenants, accommodation and all, so we have to see the obligations as well. And then we have chapter 7, that is miscellaneous. So when we count chapter 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and 8, the total number of chapters are 8. So let's begin with section 1. It says that the short title of it is MPAC 1961. It will extend to whole of MP. Its commencement date is 30th December 1961. And there is another clause over here that though it says that it extends to whole of MP, but there is a schedule, that is schedule first, which denotes particular region, particular places in the MP on which this act will be enforceable. So we have to refer to that. There was a question, previous question, that in which part the MPAC applies. So there were 4 options. We will see it in the further discussion. I have that question in this slide. Okay, so moving to section 2, that covers the definitions, major definitions. So I have covered all the definitions over here because there are very less number of definitions. So section 2A defines accommodation, that any building or part of a building, whether it is residential or non-residential. Residential means that is जो जहाँ पे हम रहते हैं उसे residential बोलते हैं. जहाँ पे अगर हम occupy resident नहीं है, that is also an accommodation. And it includes, यहाँ पे negative connotation है, that the land which is not being used for agriculture purposes, garden, grounds, garages and outhouses, if any, apartment to such building or its part, any fittings affixed to such building or its part, any furniture supplied by the landlord. So if any such land is used for these purposes, then such land won't be accommodation. But any land which is not used for these purposes, for agriculture or these garden grounds, then such all lands will be the accommodation. Moving to definition 2B, that is landlord. Landlord means a person who for the time being is receiving or is entitled to receive the rent of any accommodation, whether on his own account or an account of or on behalf of or for the benefit of any other person, or has as a trustee, guardian or receiver for any other person, or who would so receive the rent or be entitled to receive the rent if the accommodation were let to a tenant, and includes every person not being a tenant who from time to time derives title under a landlord. So at the first glance we see that the definition of landlord is very vast. I mean, it's very complex, but it's very it seems to be very complex, but it's very easy. Landlord means any person who is entitled to receive the rent for any particular accommodation. This part which says that whether on his account or behalf of others, can be explained like, if I have a house and I have given it to rent to a tenant, then I can receive the accommodation, the rent for that accommodation, so I will be a landlord. But if I allow my friend or my family member who is living nearby, or a trustee or an agent of mine, then those persons will be also known as landlord for that particular accommodation, because they are entitled to receive the payment for that accommodation. So it's very clear now that landlord means any person who is entitled to receive the payment for that particular accommodation. So moving to another definition, that is section C, 2C, lawful increase, means any increase in rent permitted under the provisions of this act. So you can't increase the rent that is fixed by your own, rather it should be under the provisions which are given in this particular act. Lease also includes sublease, and this very important definition is section 2E. that member of the family, who shall constitute member of the family. So there is a particular list, and many a times questions has been asked like who are in the following options, who is a member of the family or who is not a member of family. So it's very important to thorough with this particular definition and memorize it. Member of the family includes spouse, that is the life partner, the husband or wife, son, unmarried daughter, father, grandfather, mother, grandmother, brother, unmarried sister. So you must know that it is unmarried sister, not the married sister. Paternal uncle, paternal uncle's wife or widow, or brother's son, or unmarried daughter living jointly with, or any other relation dependent on him. So any other relation dependent on him is also a member of family. So here generally unmarried sister, this part unmarried people get confused. So you must be aware that these also include member of the family. Now moving to section 2F, rent controlling authority means any officer appointed under section 228. We will see in the further sections. Then 2G, what is the repealed act, that is was repealed, that the MP Accommodation Control Act 1955, which was repealed under section 55. Then 2H, standard rent in relation to any accommodation means the standard rate rent referred to in section 7, or where the standard rate has been increased under section 8. So 7 and 8 is related to standard rent. We will see in the further lectures. Then we have 2I, that is tenant. Tenant means a person by whom or on whose account or behalf the rent of any accommodation is, or but for the contract expressed or implied would be payable for any accommodation, and includes any person occupying the accommodation as a subtenant, and also any person continuing in possession after the termination of his tenancy, whether before or after the commencement of this act, but shall not include any person against whom any order or decree for eviction has been made. So how to understand about who are the tenants? So any person who is has been given the rent as accommodation, that person will be told as will be called as tenant, but for a contract express or implied would be payable for any accommodation, includes any person occupying the accommodation. So if that tenant sublets it, then that sublet, the person who has been sublet will also be called as a tenant. So and those person who is in the continuous possession of the accommodation, that particular accommodation, even after the termination of the tenancy, those person will also be called as tenant. It's not that if there is a termination of tenancy but the person is occupying it, the premise, then that person won't be called as a tenant, rather that they will be called as a trespasser. It's not like that. That person still continues to be a tenant. So moving to section 3. So that's very important to note what I have told earlier, that even it's in the position of tenancy, but the tenancy has been expired. It's not that they will be called as trespasser. Now moving to section 3, that is non-applicability of the act. The act does not apply to the following accommodation. Accommodation which is the property of government, the government property पे apply नहीं होगा. Accommodation which is the property of local authority used exclusively for non-residential purposes. So all जो भी गवर्नमेंट का प्रॉपर्टी है और जो भी लोकल अथॉरिटी का प्रॉपर्टी है जो कि नॉन रेसिडेंशियल पर्पसेस के लिए यूज होता है, उन पे ये एक्ट अप्लाई नहीं होता है. एंड सेकेंड, द गवर्नमेंट अपने नोटिफिकेशन के थ्रू कोई भी ऐसा पर्टिकुलर प्रॉपर्टी को डिक्लेयर कर सकता है कि उस पर ये अप्लाई नहीं होगा. तो गवर्नमेंट मे बाय नोटिफिकेशन एग्जेम्प्ट और एनी ऑफ द प्रोविजंस ऑफ दिस एक्ट, all the provisions or any of the provisions of this act which is owned by any educational, religious or charitable institution, or by nursing or maternity home, the whole of the income derived from which is utilized for that institution or nursing home or maternity home. तो गवर्नमेंट एक अपने नोटिफिकेशन से इन पर्टिकुलर टाइप्स ऑफ अकोमोडेशन पे नोटिफाई कर सकती है कि कोई भी पार्ट या पूरा का पूरा एक्ट इन अकोमोडेट इन प्लेसेस पे अप्लाई नहीं होगा. मूविंग टू चैप्टर 2, दैट इज प्रोविजंस रिगार्डिंग रेंट. It starts from section 4 and ends at section 11. Section 4, provisions of the chapter not to apply to certain accommodation for a specified period. तो इस चैप्टर के पर्टिकुलर प्रोविजंस पर्टिकुलर सर्टेन अकोमोडेशन पे सर्टेन टाइम के लिए अप्लाई नहीं होगा. तो हम देखते हैं कि किस पे और कब तक अप्लाई नहीं होता है. सो इट सेज चैप्टर 2, पूरा का पूरा चैप्टर 2 शैल नॉट अप्लाई टू द फॉलोइंग अकोमोडेशन फॉर 5 years. 5 साल तक अप्लाई नहीं होगा. कब से वो 5 साल शुरू होता है? फ्रॉम द डेट ऑन विच द कंप्लीशन ऑफ द कंस्ट्रक्शन वाज नोटिफाइड टू द लीड अथॉरिटीज. जब से कंस्ट्रक्शन का कंप्लीशन नोटिफाई किया गया, यानी कोई पर्टिकुलर प्रेमाइस बन चुका है, उसका कंप्लीशन हो गया है, वो उसके लीड अथॉरिटीज को नोटिफाई किया गया, उससे लेकर 5 साल तक ये चैप्टर 2 का सेक्शन प्रोविजंस उन पर्टिकुलर अकोमोडेशंस पे अप्लाई नहीं होगा. द अकोमोडेशन दैट वाज कंस्ट्रक्टेड बिफोर दिस एक्ट और आफ्टर द कमेंसमेंट ऑफ दिस एक्ट. इस एक्ट के कमेंसमेंट के पहले या इस एक्ट के कमेंसमेंट के बाद जो भी ऐसा प्रॉपर्टी बनकर रेडी हो गया है एंड उसका नोटिफाई किया गया है और उसके 5 साल तक ये अप्लाई नहीं होगा. So these were the few sections for MPAC. Let's see that MPAC से किस तरह के क्वेश्चंस आते हैं. ये सारे क्वेश्चंस प्रीवियस ईयर पेपर्स के हैं. इट वाज फ्रॉम 2018 का एग्जाम से. So the first question is, if a tenant under MP Accommodation Control Act Section 13A fails to deposit or pay any amount as required by this section, the court may order the defense against eviction to be struck out under this section of this act. तो ये डायरेक्ट देख रहे हैं हम यहाँ पे, डायरेक्ट सेक्शन बेस्ड क्वेश्चन है. तो हमें सेक्शन नंबर्स और उनके सब नंबर्स बहुत ध्यान से पढ़ने हैं. इसका आंसर डी होगा, दैट इज सेक्शन 13 से 6. बट हम देख रहे हैं, हमें यहाँ पे एनालाइज करना है कि किस तरह के क्वेश्चन आते हैं. सो अभी जो हमने पढ़ा है उसमें से ये बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट क्वेश्चन है, दैट अंडर एमपी अकोमोडेशन कंट्रोल एक्ट विच वन ऑफ द फॉलोइंग इज नॉट ए फैमिली मेंबर, दैट आई वाज सेइंग. सो मैरिड सिस्टर इज नॉट ए फैमिली मेंबर. सो सिमिलरली वी सी दैट for the purposes of chapter 3A MP accommodation control act landlord does not include. तो किसे इंक्लूड नहीं करता है, तो हमें ये पर्सन्स किस तरह के होते हैं, कौन कौन से पर्सन्स पे एप्लीकेबल है, वो भी देखना बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट है. सो दिस इज फ्रॉम अनदर प्रीवियस क्वेश्चन. तो यहाँ पे भी हम देख रहे हैं दैट इस तरह के क्वेश्चन है. एमपी अकोमोडेशन कंट्रोल एक्ट विच वन ऑफ द फॉलोइंग ऑप्शन इज नॉट करेक्ट रिगार्डिंग नोटिस ऑफ इंक्रीज ऑफ एरियर ऑफ रेंट. सो दीज ऑल थिंग्स वी विल डिस्कस इन आवर फर्दर लेक्चर्स. Again we have another question, that is a repeated question, that MP Accommodation Control Act member of the family do not includes, then it is married daughter. So thank you for today. I hope things are clear, and for further information let me know.